Joining us now to sort of unpack this and see what the impact might be is Cynthia Fisher. She's the founder and chairman of PatientRightsAdvocate.org. This is something, Ms. Fisher, that you guys have been pressing for quite some time. Price transparency. Why can't we see what these things cost?
Well, Larry, you're right. Why can't we see what healthcare costs? And this announcement by the president is an exciting announcement. Why? Because it shifts the power to the patients and all Americans to be able to know prices up front. Basically, it lets us do what we do in any other facet of any market. Consumers know how to shop, and consumers also know how to compare bills to the prices they chose to pay to make sure they're accurate. And this executive leadership from the president is game over for the insurance companies and the hospitals to keep hiding prices in the dark and shine the sunlight to make sure that we all have access to be able to lower our costs, benefit from competition, and then be protected from overcharges when we get our bills.
So can you explain to me how that will then, how just getting the prices out there, getting the cost of these things, overheads, et cetera, how does that translate to lower premiums for the consumer?
Well, think about it. We don't know what the prices are. And when President Trump came in his first time as president, he enacted an executive order that made hospitals and insurance companies post all of their prices online, starting in 2020. However, insurance companies and hospitals haven't taken it seriously, and the administration of the Biden administration really didn't enforce the law. And so what President Trump has done now in his second administration is said he wanted to now maximize price transparency. And when he first came into office, he came with another executive order that said he wanted to have radical price transparency from hospitals and insurance companies so that we could see these prices. Well, what we've learned so far from those that have complied with the law is there is wide price variation, Larry and Patrice. When you go to get an MRI, some of the patients under their plan may get a price of $300 and others may get a price of over $3,000. Well, if you knew that the prices varied by 10 times for an MRI, who would want to pay 10 times more when they knew there was plenty of profit in a $300 priced MRI? So prices will come down because patients and also employers, remember now, a lot of the employers, 150 million people in this country, are covered by their employer plans. And a lot of employers have the purchasing power. So they're going to want to make sure that their workers and their families get the best deal and also get the best quality of care. So we know prices is a great thing to have because price discovery will eventually usher in quality transparency as well. And people want to know what they're going to get and what they're going to have to pay.
You know, we're speaking right now with Cynthia Fisher from PatientRightsAdvocate.org. Definitely check them out. You know, your point there, Cynthia, given the MRI example, is what would unite Mark Cuban and our friend Steve Moore, somebody far on the left and the right, on this very same issue around price transparency. Now, this said, President Trump's executive orders and his plan are great, but the rubber meets the road with Congress. What are you seeing when it comes to the likelihood of this being codified in federal law? Because really, that's what the healthcare industry needs. It needs to be pushed by Congress to act. So what can we expect in Congress with this?
Well, the good news on this is a 96% polling issue. And we're going into an election year. And it is the policy to have prices up front, itemized bills, and then payment information that actually reconciles with the exact price, right? This is the first time we would have accountability and integrity in healthcare like we do in any other financial market. Well, look, Patrice, nearly everyone has a story of being overcharged by the healthcare system. So Congress has come forward with a Senate bill sponsored by Senator Roger Marshall, and also bipartisan with Senator Hickenlooper. Hickenlooper and Marshall have put together the bill that does just that. It gives us prices, itemized bills, and payment information to be accountable to patients and to employers. This is huge. This is a huge win for the American people. And then in the House, at the end of 2023, bipartisan Congress voted for lowering the cost of prices in healthcare, and that bill stood in the House. So we have also now a parallel bill to the Marshall-Hickenlooper bill by John James in the House that can get passed and go to the floor and be reconciled. We believe very firmly that Congress benefits by benefiting all of their constituents in this very strongly supported bipartisan legislation. It can be done.
One other question, ma'am, because I agree. Get this back to the free market. Let the patient have the purchasing power. Let the patient be able to know what the costs are. All that stuff. The one missing element here, and maybe you can inform me on this and educate me, is do we truly have a free market in which to purchase health insurance plans? Like if I just want a bare bones, major medical, catastrophic health care plan, does that even exist anymore? Or did the Obamacare legislation force insurance companies to provide a whole bunch of stuff with the basic of basics insurance plans that I don't really want, that I don't really need? If I just want major medical and hospitalization or what have you, because I'm 25 years old and I'm relatively healthy, can I even get that anymore?
Well, it's been very difficult for patients and across the spectrum. You're right. Do we have a functional market? Absolutely not in healthcare. Why? Because patients have been blind to no prices, blindsided by outrageous bills, and Larry, every time we go to get care, we've had to pay write and sign a blank check. We've had to financially guarantee while being blindfolded to knowing what prices are and what we're going to have to pay until well after we get the care. So this legislation would codify into law what President Trump has in executive orders to create a functional and competitive market and have accountability and integrity for the first time. But you can't start anywhere, even with any programmatic health savings accounts or, like you said, comparing plans without having prices first. If people have high deductibles today, it's extortion if we don't know prices, right? Because if you know you could get a drug, a common drug for $15 cash, and yet when you go to the drugstore, they want to charge you a $150 copay for $1,500 insurance amount. Well, oftentimes the cash price is far, far lower. And so I think what was really criminal in the to the experience for patients is with the Affordable Care Act, there's a huge flaw. And the flaw was that a lot of it was written with the influence and the power of the insurance companies and the hospitals to profiteer together in cahoots. The more they charged in the shadows, the more profits they would make on that patient encounter.
That is the original sin here. In fact, if you look at economic sectors and business sectors and industry sectors over the last 15 years, the single biggest by far growth sector has been in health insurance. If you're in the health business and you started your career 15 years ago when Obamacare was passed, you are living large right now. Cynthia Fisher, we got to leave it there. Thank you for all your advocacy.
Cynthia.
PatientRightsAdvocate.org, PatientRightsAdvocate.org.